143 seconds, 2 minutes, and 23 seconds. Congressman Thomas Massie stood up, held a Department of Defense materials procurement report above his head, and asked the question that would create one of the longest silences in congressional hearing history. Mr. Miller, this DoD report shows $1.4 billion allocated for border wall concrete, steel reinforcement, and construction materials in fiscal year 2025. The suppliers were paid, the delivery receipts were signed, the work was certified as complete in federal databases, but when inspectors visited the construction sites, the materials are not there. The wall sections do not exist. So I have one very simple question. Where did the concrete go? Miller's face went pale. Not flushed, not shocked. Pale. Like someone watching their entire defense strategy collapse in real time. His lead attorney's hand froze on his legal pad. His second attorney was already reaching for her water glass with a shaking hand. And Thomas Massie, the congressman with an MIT engineering degree who built his own house with his bare hands, the man who understands construction materials and procurement better than anyone in Congress, had not even shown them the satellite imagery yet. If you are new to Patel Report Files, subscribe right now, because what you are about to witness is an engineer with receipts destroying someone who thought fake construction reports would go unchecked. House Oversight Committee, Room 2154, Thursday afternoon, 2:34 p.m. Eastern. The hearing was listed as Oversight of Department of Homeland Security Infrastructure Development and Materials Procurement. Infrastructure development. The most boring possible description for what was about to become a bombshell hearing about phantom construction and vanished materials. Massie arrived early. He carried a metal briefcase, the kind engineers use for technical documents. Inside that briefcase was something nobody expected. A complete forensic audit conducted by the Army Corps of Engineers. 680 pages. Satellite imagery, geological surveys, materials testing reports, delivery manifests, and a single conclusion that would destroy Miller's credibility. The construction never happened. Miller walked in looking prepared. He had his legal team, plus 2 technical advisors, construction experts brought in to help him answer questions about building specifications and engineering standards. Miller thought those experts would help him. He did not realize they would watch him lie about construction they knew never occurred. The first hour was technical. Questions about construction timelines, materials specifications, contractor qualifications. Miller gave detailed answers. He cited building codes. He referenced engineering standards. He looked comfortable discussing rebar thickness and concrete compression ratios. He thought his technical knowledge would protect him. Then Massie took the microphone and everything changed. Mr. Miller, Massie's voice was calm, measured, the tone of an engineer presenting data. I want to talk about concrete. Specifically, the concrete that was supposed to be used for border wall construction in Arizona and New Mexico. The room shifted slightly. Massie opened his briefcase. This is a Department of Defense materials procurement authorization from January of last year. It allocates $1.4 billion for concrete, steel reinforcement, foundation materials, and construction equipment for 187 miles of border wall construction. He held it up. The authorization was signed. The funds were transferred. The contractors were paid. Everything proceeded according to standard procurement protocols. Miller nodded slightly. Correct, Congressman. The border wall construction project followed all required procurement procedures and oversight mechanisms. Good. Massie pulled out another document, so you will have no problem explaining this. He turned it toward the document camera. The image appeared on screens throughout the chamber. This is a completion certification filed with the General Services Administration in November of last year. It states that 187 miles of border wall construction has been completed. Materials delivered, concrete poured, steel installed, foundation work finished, status certified complete. He set it down. Your office signed this certification, Mr. Miller. You personally certified that $1.4 billion worth of construction materials were delivered and installed. Is that correct? Miller leaned forward. The certification process involves verification from multiple agencies, field inspectors, contractor reports, GSA oversight. I relied on those established verification procedures when... Let me stop you there. Massie held up his hand. Because I did something very simple. I wanted to see this completed construction with my own eyes. So I contacted the Army Corps of Engineers and asked them to conduct a site survey. He pulled out a thick folder. This is their report, completed 3 weeks ago. The Army Corps sent inspection teams to every GPS coordinate listed in your completion certification. All 187 miles. They took photographs, they measured, they tested soil composition, they documented everything. He opened the folder to a flagged page, and here is what they found. He pulled out a photograph, held it up. This is GPS coordinate 31.7833 north, 106.4167 west. One of your completed construction sites. The photo showed desert, empty desert, scrubland, sand, no wall, no concrete, no construction equipment, nothing. Just open land exactly as it had been for thousands of years. He set it down. 1.4 billion. Certified complete. Wall does not exist. The room went completely silent. Massie pulled out another photo. This is coordinate 32.1445 north, 108.9876 west. Another certified complete site. Same result. Empty desert. He kept going. 32.521 north, 109.3421 west. Empty. 31.9234 north, 107.216 west. Empty. He set down a stack of photographs. The Army Corps inspected all 187 miles. They found 0 miles of completed wall construction, 0 concrete installations, 0 steel reinforcement, 0 foundation work. He looked at Miller. Mr. Miller, where did the concrete go? A murmur started in the gallery. Journalists were typing frantically. Massie was not waiting for an answer. He was building the engineering case. Now, before you tell me the GPS coordinates were wrong or the inspectors went to the wrong locations, let me show you what else we found. He pulled out a new document. This is the Concrete Delivery Manifest log. Every concrete delivery truck that goes to a federal construction site must log in with a site supervisor. Federal requirement. Date, time, amount delivered, GPS coordinates, receiving signature. The Corps of Engineers obtained all delivery logs for your 187-mile project. He opened it. According to these logs, 847,000 cubic yards of concrete were delivered to border wall construction sites between February and October of last year. He did the math out loud. 847,000 cubic yards at $1,680 per cubic yard for the high-strength border wall mix. That is $1,123 million. The accounting matches your $1.4 billion authorization almost exactly. Miller's attorney started to stand. Massie kept going. So the concrete was manufactured. The delivery trucks logged it. The receipts were signed. The contractors were paid. But here's the problem. He pulled out another section of the report. The Army Corps did not just look at delivery logs. They subpoenaed the concrete batch plant records. Every concrete mixing facility keeps detailed production logs, batch numbers, mix designs, quantities, destination codes. Federal regulation for quality control. He opened to a highlighted section. Of the 847,000 cubic yards documented in delivery manifests, only 312,000 cubic yards appear in the batch plant production records. The room erupted, not with shouting, with the collective realization that a congressman with an engineering degree just documented phantom concrete. Massie waited for quiet. Only 312,000 cubic yards were actually manufactured, but 847,000 cubic yards were logged as delivered. That is a discrepancy of 535,000 cubic yards. He did the math again. At $1,680 per cubic yard, that is $898 million paid for concrete that was never produced. He looked at Miller. Mr. Miller, where is $898 million worth of concrete that was paid for but never manufactured? Now I need to stop for a second and say this. If you believe $898 million in phantom concrete deserves an explanation, hype this video right now. The hype button is right next to like. You can hype 3 times a day for free. We have 7 days to get this into the top 100 most hyped videos on YouTube. Every single hype counts. Do it now. Then keep watching, because what Massie reveals next proves the contractors knew the concrete was fake. Miller opened his mouth. Nothing came out. His lead attorney whispered something urgent. Miller shook his head, and that is when the silence started. Massie pulled out his phone, opened the stopwatch app, held it up so the entire room could see. Mr. Miller, I am going to ask you one more time. and I'm going to time how long you refuse to answer a question about $1.4 billion in construction materials that do not exist. He pressed start. Where did the concrete go? The room went dead silent. 10 seconds. Miller's hands flat on the table, completely motionless. 20 seconds. His attorney writing something, crossing it out violently. 30 seconds. A Republican from Kentucky spoke. Tom, if materials were paid for but never delivered, that is fraud. Miller needs to explain this. Miller said nothing. 40 seconds. Massie stood up, still holding the stopwatch. Mr. Miller, I have an engineering degree from MIT. I built my own timber frame house. I understand construction. I understand materials. I understand procurement. He walked toward the witness table, and I understand the difference between a delivery manifest and actual concrete. 50 seconds. This is not complicated accounting. This is physics. 535,000 cubic yards of concrete has mass. It has volume. It exists in physical space, or it does not exist at all. 60 seconds, 1 full minute, and it does not exist. The chairman leaned into his microphone. Mr. Miller, you are under oath. Answer the question. Where are the construction materials? 70 seconds. Miller's jaw clenched, the muscle near his ear twitching visibly. 80 seconds. Massie walked back to his briefcase. Mr. Miller, I have not even shown you the worst part yet, because the Army Corps did not just check concrete, they checked everything. He pulled out more documents. Steel reinforcement. Your records show 47,000 tons delivered. Actual mill production records show 18,000 tons manufactured. Discrepancy 29,000 tons. Foundation materials. Your records show 234,000 cubic yards. Geological surveys show zero evidence of excavation or foundation pour. Equipment rental. Your records show $127 million in heavy equipment rental fees. Equipment companies have no record of any rentals to your contractors. 90 seconds. Everything is fake, Mr. Miller. The delivery logs are fake. The certifications are fake. The construction is fake. 100 seconds, but the money is real. 1.4 billion real. 110 seconds. A Democrat from Oregon leaned into her microphone. Mr. Chairman, we are looking at the largest construction fraud in federal contracting history. 120 seconds. 2 full minutes. Massie checked the stopwatch. 2 minutes, Mr. Miller. And I still have not asked you about the satellite imagery. 130 seconds. He pulled out one final document. The Army Corps did not just visit the sites on the ground. They obtained satellite imagery from before your project started and after your completion certification. He held up 2 satellite photos side by side. This is the border region at coordinates 31.7833 north, 106.4167 west. Left image, January 2024 before construction. Right image, December 2024 after your certification. The images were identical, same terrain, same vegetation patterns, same dirt roads. No construction, no disturbance, no wall, zero difference. The land looks exactly the same before and after $1.4 billion in certified complete construction. 140 seconds. Miller's hands were shaking now. Barely perceptible, but the cameras caught it. Massie stopped walking. Mr. Miller, I'm going to count to 1 move to refer this to the FBI, because $1.4 billion in fake construction is not a counting error. It is fraud. 141, 142, 143. He stopped the timer. 2 minutes and 23 seconds. He turned to the committee. Mr. Chairman, the witness has refused to answer. I move to enter this complete Army Corps of Engineers forensic audit into the congressional record, all 680 pages. I further move to refer this matter immediately to the FBI and the Department of Justice for criminal investigation into contractor fraud, false claims, and theft of federal funds. Both motions seconded instantly. Both passed unanimously. Massie gathered his materials. Mr. Miller, 143 seconds. That is how long you sat here, rather than explain where $0.4 billion in construction materials went. Materials that were paid for. Materials that were certified as delivered and installed. Materials that do not exist. He held up the satellite imagery. The land looks exactly the same. No construction happened. No concrete was poured. No wall was built. But $1.4 billion was paid to contractors who submitted fake delivery logs, fake batch plant records, and fake completion certifications. He paused. I built a house with my own hands. I know what construction looks like. I know what concrete looks like when it is poured. I know what disturbed Earth looks like from satellite imagery. He pointed at the photos. This is not construction. This is theft. And you just sat here for 143 seconds refusing to explain where the materials went. The hearing adjourned immediately. Miller was escorted out. FBI agents were already waiting in the hallway with subpoenas for every contractor listed in the procurement files. Thomas Massie had just done what engineers do best. He checked the math. He verified the data. He compared before and after. And he proved with satellite imagery, batch plant records, and geological surveys that $1.4 billion in border wall construction never happened. This is not speculation. This is Army Corps of Engineers forensic audit. This is satellite imagery comparison. This is batch plant production logs showing 535 cubic yards of phantom concrete. This is $1. $0.4 billion certified complete for construction that left zero physical evidence. And 143 seconds where Miller could have explained where the concrete went, but chose silence instead. Subscribe to Patel Report Files right now because tomorrow we reveal the contractors who received $1.4 billion for construction they never performed. The shell companies, the offshore accounts, the payment chains. This is the largest construction fraud in federal history. Share this everywhere. $1.4 billion disappeared. The wall does not exist. The satellite proves it. And the person who certified it as complete just refused to answer for 143 seconds. 2 minutes and 23 seconds. That is all it took to prove $1.4 billion in construction was completely fake. And every second is documented.